I was 9 years old, and I just wanted to know why were some people rich and why were some people poor. That was my only question I had, and I still ask that question. And what I've come to realize is the reason there's so much poverty in the world is our school systems are not doing their job. And I'll be talking about later on about going to school. And I know for some people, school is like going to church. It's a religion. But I can tell you one thing is that they do not teach about money at school, and that's why we have such a financial crisis on our hands. And so the reason I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad way back when was I could see this financial crisis coming. And I wrote in my book, Rich Dad's Prophecy, I don't know if you guys have it here, but I predicted the biggest market crash in history would come on 2016, plus or minus 3 years. And it looks like I'm on schedule. So right now I know jobs are coming back, the economy is getting stronger and all that, but I still hold to my prediction, 2016, plus or minus a few years. So that's why I'm glad you guys are here, because at least you're getting ahead of the curve. You know? So anyway, more of my story of my rich dad poor. The way my rich dad taught me, I would go to his office in a little town called Hilo, Hawaii, and we would just play. He would teach me about money, but he'd teach me to play the game of Monopoly. And we'd play the game of Monopoly for hours and hours. And I'd go home, and I'd go see my dad, and he says, "What you been doing all day?" My poor dad. I said, "I've been playing Monopoly." He says, "Don't waste your time. Did you do your what? If you don't do your homework, you won't get good. And if you don't get good grades, you won't get a good." Must have had the same parents, huh? So anyway, then I go back to my rich dad. I said, "Why are we playing Monopoly?" He said, "I'm glad you asked, because his son was my best friend." He says, "What you're looking at is one of the best formulas for getting rich." And I went, "What? Playing Monopoly?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "There's many formulas." His instruction to his son and I, to me, is you got to find your formula, your magic formula. So I said, "Okay, what's the formula in this game Monopoly?" He says, "It's real easy. 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel." And I went, "What?" So here I am, 9 or 10 years old, going, 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. He goes, "Yeah, that's all there is." So then he took his son and me to look at his little greenhouses. They weren't green, but they were little houses. And he said, "I'm just working my plan. I'm just working my plan. I'm an entrepreneur." He owned hotels, small hotels and restaurants. And I said, "I own real estate." I said, "Okay." So I'm an entrepreneur and an investor. I said, "Good." So then 10 years later, I went to school in New York. I came home from school in New York. I was 19 years old, and my rich dad had his big red hotel.